Hayes.
Speaker, it gives me a considerable pleasure to stand in the House now in the third reading debate of this bill. I want to join with those who've already congratulated Prime Minister and Tim Grosser for their work in activating this bill after 8 years of stagnation following Jim Sutton's intervention in 2001. And we're doing it because it's really important that innovation provides access to world markets, because many of those crayfish that Marion Street talked about actually begin in Naui or somewhere off the Wairarapa coast. So this is immensely important in my electorate. And it's immensely important as well because the comparative advantage of this country is in exporting food, whether it's dairy products, meat, or vegetables, horticultural products, or even wine. And that is really fundamentally important to people living in provincial New Zealand. And this agreement is incredibly important because it's part of the government's focus on free trade and improving access for our exporters to world markets. And as I said earlier today, this is a priority of the Prime Minister's, and he mentioned it in this Parliament in February this year in his statement. Because he knows, and we know on this side of the House, that it's only by lifting our economic performance that we can create jobs, boost incomes, improve living standards, and provide world-class services that Kiwi families deserve. And I have to say, Mr. Speaker, that the Green Party have got it wrong. They may have got it right in Australia, but they're seriously wrong here. And the reason is that they do not seem to understand that these agreements lead to jobs, they lead to employment, they lead to buying things like Herceptin and other drugs that are expensive for use in our communities. We have to accept, and the Green Party must accept, that there is a huge change in the world's geopolitical tectonic plates. China is on a growth curve, and we need to understand that certainly by 2050, China's average standard of living will be half that of America's. We need to understand that even in that period, in the next 12 years, if China's average growth is only half of that it is today, that there'll be hundreds of millions of Chinese in the middle class and tens of millions in its upper class. And the purpose of this agreement is to give our producers access to those people. Even now, and I accept some of the Greens' assertions about some of the difficulties of dealing in China, but the Chinese Communist Party is going to have to deal with things like providing retirement benefits, like health insurance. It's going to have to provide access to health care. It will have to build infrastructure, and it's going to have to deal with a lack of drinking water or sewerage systems. It is going to have to fight corruption, and it's going to have to find work for hundreds of millions of people. It's really fundamentally important that New Zealand stays linked to that process, and that is why I support this agreement. It's why the government supports it. And, Mr. Speaker, we look forward to passing this bill in the third stage. Thank you. 2.5
David.